from the oldest city in the USA, St. Augustine tonight, with our guest, Bernadette Rivell, Razvan Balotescu, Christina Parrish, musical guest Heather Craig, comic Lauren Bressette, special appearance Jessica Carlo, with your host, Jorge Rivera.
And now, from America's oldest city, St. Augustine Tonight Show, starring Jorge Rivera.
Hello everybody, hello. Wow, you guys had breakfast, that's great. Lots of energy out there. Thank you again for being here. Your support is, it's unbelievable. I'm okay. A lot of people last week after that show, some people called me, some people met me in person. They were worried about me. They felt that something was wrong with me, that my energy, are you okay? And you know, a show like this has a lot of stress factors. And I'm also a caregiver, so I do have a mother with severe dementia I take care of. And it looks like I was kind of burned out last week, so I apologize if I wasn't here, but it was so sweet that people called me. People said, I need to talk to you. And I said, what is it? Are you okay, man? You could talk to me, man. We're like family. And it was amazing. So that's very heartfelt. As you know, this show, if you looked at the program, is in memory of John Mitch Coloser. He was the upright bass player of the St. Augustine Orchestra. He was involved with the Limelight. He was involved with young people in music. He was involved with the chorus. Mitch was someone that lived and breathed music, but also art. And sad to say, last time I was really with Mitch, he was here. He was celebrating with me that I was on the cover of Folio. He thought that was so cool. He bought me a beer. And I saw him one time briefly when him and his beautiful wife, Sheila, who's in the audience with us, was leaving the film festival. And it was just a day or two after that that he had a major heart attack. He hung in there for about 5 days or so, and then he just could not. And gonna miss him. So that's why I thought, you know, I should have brought the comedian here first. Cheer us up. But, you know, life is what it is. We move forward. We keep them in our mind. And, you know, if you want to contribute to his favorite thing, which was the St. Augustine Orchestra, find them online. You know, give them $5, give them $20, give them what you can. Keep that orchestra going. It's our own little philharmonic, man. And it's beautiful, beautiful to have something like that. So my love goes out to his friends. His wife Sheila is in the audience. Thank you, Sheila, for being here. You know. And so on that, I found out that Prince Harry, wants to be called now just Harry. And that was a relief. And I mean, yeah, I don't want to piss off the royals or anything like that. Also, what I think was sweet of Harry and Meghan is that their last day of royal duties is our last show, March 31st. So I thought that was great of them to keeping us an account. So as April 1st, it's not an April Fool's Day joke, but his office is closed. He's no longer doing the royal thing. Another thing is today's Super Tuesday, for those who are politically involved or not, you know. So when you get home, I guess you'll hear all the news. Also, our hearts and prayers are with the people of Tennessee, Nashville. Last night while they slept, tornadoes came in like banditos and killed a lot of people, destroyed a lot of, they were up to 20 dead. They started with 2, they're up to 20. They keep finding bodies in the rubble. People are missing. And there was a couple, very interesting, they didn't hear the sirens, but they had a gut feeling that they should go to the basement, and they did. And sure enough, the house was moved off its foundation. So that gut feeling saved their lives. So our hearts and prayers are with them. I found out that Apple, the phone, Apple, they don't let bad guys use their phones. So if you watch movies, the bad guys never use an iPhone. So they make sure they use Android and other.
But they won't let so they keep their eyes on television and shows and see what phones the people are using. The good guys use iPhones. So I thought that was very funny. Another thing I found out, if you're looking for a job, they're taking applications for astronauts right now. So now, and the honeymooners who used to say, "To the Alice moon," well, now there will actually be a girl named Alice on the moon, and she went voluntarily. So I think that's awesome. Another little thing I wanted to say was Jimmy Carter started putting solar panels on his farm, where he used to grow peanuts and other stuff. He has now 4,000 panels, and he is supplying more than half of the energy of Plains, Georgia. Let's give him a hand. He was the first one to put solar panels in the White House. And then the next president just ripped them off because, he didn't understand. So now look at him. He's actually supplying more than half of the energy of Plains, Georgia with his 4,000 solar panels. The last thing I wanted to say was about the coronavirus. Everyone is freaking out. I think what's interesting is all the events that have been canceled. Armani's event was canceled. The Geneva Car Show, which is one of the was canceled. In Japan, the baseball games were played to empty stadiums. And it was so weird to see they could hear their echo, And when they hit the ball, you'd hear that echo. It's kind of scary stuff. So, wash your hands like they say, do what you need to do. And I want to also thank Rafael Cosme. He's from La Prensa in Orlando and also Hola News, and they circulate here. They put a wonderful Spanish article to the St. Augustine Tonight Show. What I thought was cute was it showed me on stage, and it said in English, not in Spanish, "Here's Jorge." So thank you for the little thing. So we have a wonderful show tonight, wonderful guests, but before that, I'm going to leave you with our musical guest. I'm always excited about the musical guest, Heather Craig.
I got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. But me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You got a face, girl. I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at a convenience store. Man, it saves just a little bit of money. We won't have to drive too far. Just cross the border and into the city, and you and I can both get jobs. Finally see what it means to be living. You see, my old man's got a problem. He lives with the bottle, that's the way it is. I said his body's too old for working, but his body's too young to look like his. And mama went off and left him. She wanted more from life than he could give. I said, somebody's got to take care of him. Well, I quit school and that's what I did. So you got a fast car. Is it fast enough so we can fly away? We need to make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way. I remember when we were driving in your car. Speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us. Your arms felt nice wrapped around my shoulder, and Had a feeling that I belonged. Had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. So you got a face cut. Now I work in the market as a checkout girl. I know things will get better. You'll find work and I'll get promoted, and we'll move out of the shelter, buy a bigger house and live in the suburbs. 'Cause I remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights laid up before us, your arms felt nice wrapped around my shoulder, and I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. So you got a face cut. Well, I got a job, pays all our bills. Just stay out drinking late at the bar. See more of your friends than you do your kids. I'd always hope for better. Though maybe together where you and me find that you got no plans, you ain't going nowhere. Take your fast car and keep on driving. 'Cause I remember when we were driving in your car. Speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us, your arms felt nice wrapped around my shoulder, and I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. So you got a face cut. Is it fast enough so you could fly away? You need to make a decision. Leave tonight, live and die this way.
That is Heather Craig. Beautiful, beautiful. We'll be back after these messages.
Up last year in January. Everything from the German farmer bread, the Schwarzwälder Flosserbrot. We have Jewish roots as well on my mother's side, so we do challah every Friday. That's available.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back, and our guests sadly have a handheld mic because our wireless system decided to die today. So what a wonderful day to die. So
That's okay, I talk with my hands, so this is good.
get it a little get it a little closer. This one you have to, yes. So I am with Bernadette Rivell.
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 How long have you known me?
No. I have a friend who lives in Scotland, and his name is Sven Riddell.
Oh, neat.
If he sees this, he'll say, "Why is Jorge mentioning me?" So now you are new in the area. You've been here what, a couple of years now?
10.
10 years.
Goes by fast.
And what's a decade between friends, right? So now you're originally from Philadelphia.
That's right. Go Eagles.
Yeah, go Eagle. Okay, you're from the, yeah, okay. So I know the ones across.
Flyers and Phillies.
Yes. Now, Philadelphia. Now, were you born in the city of Philadelphia?
I was.
Wow.
South Philly, 6th and Johnston.
And you used to work in the building where Rocky went up the stairs, didn't he?
very short amount of time. When I was in college, I did work at the art museum, and yes, those steps are real people, and you are winded by the end of them. You are.
So you need to be a contender to go up
Oh,
those.
you need to be in
those
shape to
things.
run those babies.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you went to school mostly in Philadelphia then?
Well, when I was about 10, I was 10, right, Mom? This is my mom right there. Anyway, and her entourage. We moved to New Jersey, so I spent that point, Deptford, New Jersey, right over the Walt Whitman Bridge. And I went to school in New Jersey after 10 years old. So I split my time from Philly and Jersey, and I ended up going in college back in Philly.
Right. When you went to college, you decided to major in what?
Graphic design.
Why graphic design?
Because as I was growing up, my father told me I would always go to the Philadelphia College of Art because I had a talent, and I shouldn't waste it. And I didn't. I went.
So as a child, you gravitated towards drawing and painting and all that?
I drew a lot. And
Uh-huh.
I remember my mom putting me in a college course with adults when I was about 12 or 13, and
Wow.
they sucked. Can I say? I guess I should know
you
better. I
could.
shouldn't say
Yes,
that.
yes. But it was funny because you were telling me that, most people, when I said, was there kind of something that you drew a lot, and you said it was boots. As an unanimated object was a boot.
Yeah, it was a boot. My mom still has it. I had to be 16 or 17, and in school we did a lot of still life portraits, and that's just setting up a bunch of stuff on the table, and you just draw it. And I had these white granny boots, and this was the mid to late 80s, if you remember the style, ladies. And they had really cute cutout designs in them, and I love those little white boots, and I drew them, and she still has it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you leave college, and where do you go with this art
Well,
graphic?
When I was in college, I was very fortunate. I put myself in college. I worked my butt off. I worked like 3 jobs, went to school full time, worked, and I was extremely motivated. So I saw that there was an internship available at WHYY TV 12, and I'm like, that's interesting. And when you're a kid, you don't know how everything fits together. So I said, let me try. So I went, and I got the internship, and they took me under their wing, and I was very blessed to have such a great mentor there by the name of Jerry Botner, who I'm still in contact with. Took me under his wing, taught me everything, and it was amazing because I did really well. And then from there, after college, I got a job that I hated in a design firm, which was not my thing. But then as I was there for a little while, I noticed that another opportunity was available at a network called UPN. If you remember the UPN network before the CW, they had an opportunity available.
Right.
I went for it, got hired. It was a one-person show.
Well, but what's interesting is that you were first turned on to illustration, but you realized the opportunities were in graphic art design.
Yeah,
And so
that's-
you
yeah.
went into that and you come with that. But now you're also...
Well, I needed a jobby job when I got out because I
Right.
had school loans.
Yeah, but
Right?
but the other thing is that as you're doing your graphic design, that world is changing a lot, and it's
Yeah.
you learned it, cutting and pasting, and now it's moving into the computer. I remember when I got Corel Draw on my
Yeah.
Windows 95.
I mean,
it's like, wow.
I remember being a junior in college, and we did everything by hand. And I took a year off because I had to work a little more, and I went back a year after that. In every room, computers, that's all you saw. And I was like, crap.
I know.
But it worked out in the long run. It
Mhm.
really did,
Mhm.
because now that's all they do.
Right.
And it's few and far between that people get to do that
Right.
by hand anymore.
Right.
Everything's done on computer unless you are a painter or something like that at this point. Yeah.
So if suddenly our satellites were all knocked out, you say, I got this. What do you need? I
Yeah.
can do it. And the other thing is you leave now UPN and you go where?
NBC in
Wow, the Peacock.
Philly. Yeah.
And
Hey, they were the best place to work. Oh my God, it was
it a
blast.
big change, like coming from a smaller department to the bigger
it was-
corporation?
You start out as freelance and you have to prove yourself, and it was funny because one of the guys I worked with at PBS was an editor, kind of doing it, what you do,
Mhm.
there, and he remembered me, and he walked into the manager's office within a month. He's like, you have to hire this one full time. You have to hire this one.
Wow.
And they did, which I was like, wow. And again, I have been so blessed. I've had so many great mentors throughout my career. But I also worked my butt off too. I remember just working off 2 computers constantly.
Well, working with NBC and working so hard eventually brings you things like Emmys, yes?
Yeah.
3 of those, yes?
Yeah.
Wait. I want to thank my producer, my camera people, Lenny. Love you. Yeah, I could get one of those. I'd love it. Yeah. So these are the older ones because now the bases change on these.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
older than dirt. The National Television Arts and Sciences is what NATAS is, the Emmy people. And out in California, it's actually the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. They have to be separate because it's Hollywood.
Okay.
The basis changed, I think, shortly after I got these, and this was in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, that they changed it. So now those who have the opportunity of getting one of these bad boys has one that you see on TV now.
Right.
And I was like, damn.
Yeah, you change them.
But
even
it
the
was
Oscar,
great.
when you see the early Oscars versus
Yeah.
one now, there's a big change.
You know, they have to change, they have to evolve, like style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now you're in NBC, you're very successful as we see, and then you go to the big city, you go to New York.
I did. There was no upward mobility, and as I mentioned, I was extremely motivated, and I wanted to move up, and I was getting, dare I say, older. Yeah, does that really happen? And it was time for me to stop being the worker bee and like take on the role of running the department and doing that. So I had the opportunity to work with 2 startup networks in New York City. The first one was Sportsnet New York, a regional sports network where I was the art director and ran the department, actually 2 departments.
Right.
The graphic designers for, shows and everything, and then the live to air show graphic people. And that was really interesting and fun.
But it must have been intimidating because sports is mostly men.
Oh, it
was. Were you the only?
I was one of maybe 3 other women in positions of, higher level, and
Are men jerks, as they say they are?
I'm going to be nice. What you've heard, yes. but you know what? It's every day you learn something new, and that's part of it. It's part of growing. And if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
Right, that's what my dad
and they
said.
learn to respect you. You get pushed a certain amount. It was funny because my boss was female and she was phenomenal. And she actually said to me one day, she's like, you're like a chameleon. You're so nice and you're so like a lamb, but man, if they cross you, the pit bull comes out and you like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's called Philly swag. Yeah. My mama taught me well.
Did you like your years there, or were they stressful? Were they?
Oh, New York's a grind. It is stressful. I honestly don't know how people do it 20 years, 30 years. But it's hard, but it's very gratifying work. But when I was there, it's all I did was work.
Right.
So
then what brings you south, young girl? What brings you south?
We're going to need to replay that over and over. Well, my husband at the time got a job transfer, and it was my chance to take a breather because after 17 years of doing this, I was completely tapped out, burnout. And it was my chance to start my own thing because when I was in my early 20s, when I got out of college, I think I had a lot of family and friends keep asking me, so when you starting your own business?
Right. But isn't it scary, kind of? I mean, you get comfortable in this. I think you called it the golden coffin. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, they called NBC the golden coffin because it was such a great place to work and you make great money and, you just get so comfortable and complacent and you kind of lose track of your goals and dreams. And, you got to get in touch with that every so often. So coming down here, it was my opportunity because when I was young, I really didn't think being 20-something anyone would take me seriously. You have to get that experience under your belt to really have the chops.
Yes.
Like with what you've been through and everything that you've done in your career. I mean, you've look how great you've done.
They have the saying, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in yourself, no one else can believe or even trust you.
True.
So you have to be passionate. As a Latino, we're passionate.
Yeah.
But that only goes so far. You have to have you have to make sense, you know,
Sure.
to people who
Sure.
want to back you. So now, what do you do here?
Well, coming down here, I started my own business. It's called Identity Brand and Design. And basically, everything I've done in television, all the brand work, all the creative work that I've done, I've been able to package that to help businesses. Because it's basically the same principle, it's just a different way of approaching it. And I help businesses and organizations with their brand development, their creative, their logo design, their marketing, and it's not something that everyone can do. There's a lot to it, and it has to come from here. And you have to understand the nuances and the theory and the history behind everything, because it's a lot of research when you do it and you do it right. And I've had the opportunity to work with some great companies. I'm working on this great project now with the St. Augustine Music Festival. And it's going to be awesome. And I'm so excited and thrilled to be working with it. That's such a great group of people I'm dealing with there. And it's just a great collaborative process. And I think that's the difference with what I do and how I do it as opposed to people that do it as well. I try to collaborate and teach my clients why, and that's the basis of everything. Why, in terms of branding, in terms of design. Why are you doing this? Why are we doing this? You know, because it has to come from your heart and it has to come out and be right.
Right.
Yeah.
I was there for that presentation you did for them. It was so impressive, and
Thank you.
and you realized all the hard work and how everything that you had to pick and choose takes a long time before you say, well, these are the 3 contenders, but you've gone through 1,000 of them, you know? So
But
it was great.
I have to say this, when you're working with great clients, it's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pleasure. It really is a pleasure to work.
Right.
And it's fun. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have fun when you work.
Right.
And that was a life lesson through my career. I mean, there's
Yes.
one quote that I live by. Don't be too busy making a living that you forget to make a life.
Right.
And that's important.
Yes.
You have to have a life.
Yes.
And that's, you know.
So what do you do to chill, my dear?
Oh, you know, my thing with my dog. My
Uh-huh.
dogs. I have dogs. He has his own Instagram page. Yes. Yes. Jet.
So you're branding him.
Yes. I cook.
Okay.
I go out a lot. I am a music head.
Mhm.
Old habits die hard. Concerts all the time.
Okay.
You know,
All
friends. I'm very active socially.
Well, I thank you so much for being here, and
Well,
thank you
thank
for
you.
bringing something like this that probably I'd never lay my hands on.
Yes,
And,
you would.
you know, and
You have awards. I know, with all the work that you've done overseas and everything. Come on now.
no,
Divulge.
no,
Seriously.
But
We want to hear it, right?
It's good. But you know, it is a hard business,
Yeah.
and love is what you can. You know, I have a saying with my crew. They've never heard the saying, but I usually say it is the energy and the bones of your crew that carries your overrated ego across the finish line. You know? And so, if it weren't for them, you know, these Flagler kids here, let's give them a hand. So, once again, thank you for being on the show, and wow is all I can say.
Well, thank you.
We'll be back with our next guest. She wants to take a picture.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with my second guest. Let me see, Razvan Balotescu.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Yes, of Romanian descent. Yes.
Yes.
Romania. And what I thought was very interesting when we were talking, Razvan is from Transylvania. And it's not too far from the castle. Yeah. I thought that was cute. And so now, you've been in the United States how long now?
97, so like
Wow.
20 some years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quarter of a decade. And we're going to talk a little bit about this. But so you were born in Romania, and your story was fascinating. I mean, I thought it was such an interesting thing of how you started, and you had what you call it? It's when you have a hard time concentrating. What you call it?
ADHD.
Yes,
right,
yes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
how you, with that, just kept, making yourself better and better. And you were talking also about you were in the swim team.
Right.
How old were you when you started on the swim team in Romania?
So I started at 7 years old, and just because my parents didn't know what to do with me, I had too much energy, and the professor would always be like distracted by my continuous movement in the class. So something they had to do with me. So.
And how long did you swim? For how long?
For 7 years.
Wow. And you also told me that because, Romania is not a rich country, and that during the communist time, that the water was cold. And that was...
I didn't like the cold, that's why I'm in Florida.
So now, what made your story interesting is that you started getting into math, but you weren't the best at math. You were
Not initially.
Right. And so you were hanging in there. Then you met a professor, and you said he had chalk all over him, and he spoke to you like you guys had this psychic connection.
Right.
And before you knew it, you were in the Math Olympics.
Right, yeah. So with the ADHD, I had really hard time concentrating to study. So the first, I say, 5-6 years in school, I was having hard time. But then all of a sudden, both in swimming and in math, I got some, I don't know, call it inspiration, whatever. And from one of the last, I became the first. So,
Right.
but I don't know, it just happened.
And then in the swimming, you became so good that they started training you in the building for the Olympic.
Yeah, I had
athletes.
national record at my age, and I was supposed to go to the Olympics team, but I had to choose between future career medicine, because I wanted to do medicine, or swim, which is a short, even if you go in the Olympics, you can go another 4 years, maybe 8 in the best, and then what do? You're going to be, in Romania, I was not good to be a teacher, or a coach for swimming. It would be hard life. Yeah.
So the money and the opportunities were in medicine. And in engineering.
And law, law, engineering, medicine, right? Those are the only three. Yeah.
And that's not easy.
In communism,
I mean, you said that there was this book that was like 163 pages or something, and when you answered a question in your test, it had to be exactly the wording that was in the book.
That's the exams in communism in Romania, and in general Europe is way more like by the book.
Right.
So I had to know. My mom was saying, "Okay, page 125, second paragraph," and I knew it. And it was pretty bad. I don't know how I did it. I know. Actually, I learned it with colors, and it's complicated. I had a private lesson, so they making every phrase in colors. So most important words were a color, and the link word were another color. So I basically saw it visually first, because it was hard. I'm not good with memorizing.
Memorization.
Yes. But visual, I'm good. So
yes. As an actor, I used to hate memorizing lines. And it has to be, if you say and whatever, someone will correct you. So you decided to go to medicine, and how did that? You passed the test?
Yeah, so it was very hard, usually about 10 people for one place.
Wow.
Yeah, and as I said, the exam was brutal because you had to know the book by the every word. So so I passed it, and you know, then Romania just at the time was the communism failed. It was the 1990 when the US
Ceausescu. I was trapped in your airport.
Yeah, okay.
With my
yeah, you
daughter,
told me
who
that,
was,
yeah.
yes. And they were physically removing people, kicking and screaming, the secret police. There were no clocks, there were no boards. You just waited for hours, and a woman would come through and say, Athens, 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 are you going to Athens? You go, yeah. And my daughter was terrified. I was my daughter, she was 14. And you saw all the military planes and the soldiers, and you realize it was a transition time from a dictator to what are we going to come here. So when that system breaks down, you are in what, third year of medical school?
No, that was the first.
Ooh, the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Did it change with
No,
school?
no. I was not in medical school. Sorry, that was the. In '90, I started the first year of college.
Oh, the first year of college.
But medical school is separate
It's
from
separate,
college.
okay.
In Romania, it's different here.
Okay.
So I know we get messed up, but in Romania we do 4 years of like college and another 4 years of medical school. So
Wow,
it's a little bit
it's
different.
8 years. And so,
Yeah.
so how did you end up in the United States?
Well, so the opportunities were not so much after coming. I mean, initially we were hoping that we would change overnight, but that doesn't happen.
No, that hope is
even
gone.
now. I mean, finally now after how many 30 years?
Wow, yeah, 89.
And it's starting to say that if I would be right now the way it is now, maybe I have not left. But
Okay.
it took 30 years, and we were like, oh, in 2 years will be much better.
Yeah.
And it never happened. So, and the influence from Russia, it continued for many years, 10, 15 years. It was all the same concept. People wouldn't change. Behind the scene were the same people.
So if you want a future, you need to get out.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we're all here.
So United States is probably the easiest way to come in, and especially as a doctor,
Yes.
you definitely had a good chance to.
So now what's interesting is as you're doing all the residencies, working in universities, and doing everything you need to slowly get here, you discover the camera.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's like skiing. I just realized, I'm trying to think, when was the first time I thought I need to buy a camera? And I was actually skiing, because I live in the mountains in Transylvania, so we had a ski resort really close.
Okay.
So I was on the ski looking at the sky, and there was like an amazing day. It was completely blue, but everything was white. The ground was completely white, covered with a lot of snow. The trees were completely white. So I said, I need to capture this. I'm gonna forget this, and I don't want to forget this. So I said, I have to make a way to memorize or to put it, and also show other people what amazing nature is.
And it was a Russian camera, probably.
Oh yeah, it was Zenit. It was called Zenit.
I had a little one, and it had in the back like sun, moon, and you moved all these dials. And then it was it was like
manual.
Everything was manual. Yeah, it was a challenge. And the film that you got wasn't Kodak.
No.
So it's like like bad 3M film. Hope no one worked for 3M out there. So now you start taking pictures, and then when you come to the States, you said there was this time where you were like in between universities, and you buy a camera at a pawn shop. And you go start taking pictures.
Yeah, well, it was some visa problems, so it took me a while between residency and finding a job,
right,
because of the visa delay. So I had it happened to have almost a whole year off.
Wow.
And that was the opportunity for me. So I said, I have credit, I have a future, so I'm gonna just rent a car and go through United States and take pictures in the national park. So first I studied photography I was in University of Michigan at the time. I started a residency there. So I studied for maybe a couple of weeks, different books, and then I just went and shoot.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And you remember your first camera in the States?
The Minolta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you use a Sony. We use Sony.
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah.
S2s, AS2s to film this show, but you use the R, which is more for photography.
Right.
R4,
Big
R4.
sensors, right.
Right, with the big sensors. Yeah. And so this is some of the beautiful stuff you do. But you have like a connection with the sky fascinates you.
Yeah, well, you know, I grew up in the 5th floor in a building, so I was always seeing about the city was like mostly houses,
Right.
so I could see far.
Right.
So I don't feel comfortable if I cannot see far.
Ah.
So yeah, so that's why I like the ocean too.
Yes.
Because so the sky always fascinates, and honestly, here in Jacksonville, I think there's something with the sky because it's amazing. It's changing because I think I'm thinking the continental climate, it meets the ocean, and the south and the north, they all meet in here.
Uh-huh.
And the sky is amazing. Basically,
It's almost like a slideshow. It keeps changing all the time.
I don't know. It's just like I'm blessed to live on the beach, so I haven't missed any sunrise for the past like 7 years.
Oh wow!
Okay? So except when I go on vacation. So
Right.
and I'm like I'm probably take like 4 days a week. I go out and take pictures before I go to work. You know, it's like because
It's a
luckily-
ritual almost. It's a ritual.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm waiting for days when there's nothing happening because I need the rest. And it almost never happens. It's like it's always.
Oh no, it's beautiful again.
Yeah. Well, I have mixed feelings, you know. Well, this winter was pretty bad though, so I got a chance to relax. But in general, it's like amazing. I know when I travel, for example, I'm looking for sky. Let's say I went to Hawaii or stay for a week. I don't get this in a week. I might get one fantastic or beautiful sunrise or sunset.
Right.
Here in a week, I'll almost get an average 2 or 3.
Right.
And I've been everywhere in the world. I say this is one of the best sky in the world. I mean,
Well, we work hard for that sky.
yeah.
Pay a lot of money under the table to get that sky rolling.
So it's an amazing place to be a photographer, to be in Northeast, like in Jacksonville here,
Okay.
especially with St. Augustine, the inspiration of an old city and Europe-like, and then the sky and the ocean. It's hard to beat this place, and we have more. We have the a little bit north. We have the Jekyll Island and
Yeah,
all
Jekyll
those.
Island, yes,
it's amazing
it's
those
beautiful
trees,
up there.
and then Matanza
Yes,
Bay with the
yeah.
rocks. So,
Simon Island
and St.
also.
Augustine. So there's so many attractions in like one maybe 20 miles radius. It's
Right,
amazing.
right. And you have the calendar here. Here you could see a lot of the stuff. I know you can't see it from back there that well, but you can get this calendar at the visitor center. They carry
The
it?
Visitor Center and the Perky Pelican Point, and I have a gallery in Atlantic Beach.
On Atlantic Beach, and you know he's starting to go to other galleries. I mean, his photography is wonderful, and you know there's a great story to this book. This book is amazing, but he was. This is the only one that exists. Because he was going to print it in China,
Right.
And then the coronavirus thing broke out. So everything stopped. So he has the only book, but this book eventually will be out, and it's just, I mean, the photography here is just unbelievable. And I know you use the long exposure. As a photographer myself, I could see, and man, the patience you must have. And just this picture here alone, you can see the movement of the sky, though it's a still picture. It's just beautiful. And it's like no stopping you, huh? It's like, so tomorrow you'll catch the sunrise again?
Yeah, I mean, and the only problem, you can become repetitive. So the sky is never the same, but the foreground has to change at some point.
Right,
So I'm
right.
trying to become, I need to be inventive to change the foreground,
Right,
because
right.
the background is always amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
because if you go to his website, what is
RazGallery.com.
RazGallery.com, you're going to see like Costa Rica, Hawaii, some other places, and it's, you know, your jaw drops to say, wow, someone was standing in front of that beauty when you click that camera. It's amazing. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for
I
having me.
enjoyed our conversation so much. It went on, and how you just persevered to your childhood, and how we're so happy in America to have you, my brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And so this is Razvan Balotescu, and yes, check his website. When the book comes out, I guess on the website you'll be able to get it, or other places. But Wow, we are a subject of photography here, definitely.
Definitely, fantastic.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah. Stay right here. You want to take a picture.
Hi, my name's Dana. I own Sweet City Cupcakes, and we're located at 233 West King Street. We specialize in custom cakes and cupcakes. We use fresh and local ingredients and bake fresh daily. Each of our cupcakes is decorated with a unique look to complement the flavor. We have signature cupcakes such as the Marilyn, the Elvis, the I Love Lucy. We have a unique vintage look. Stop in and say hello. Have a cup of coffee and a delicious cupcake. Even better yet, take a box home to share with the family.
And now I leave you with, once again, Heather Craig.
Well, the moon likes to sit behind bone-colored clouds. Our eyes follow her behind the horizon. Her skin's ivory soft, but the music's too loud to think which hole her heart lies in. You see the lifeless trees blend their branches to me when I'm down. And the knuckles of the wind are reaching under my chin. Show me the lazy old stories of this sad and beautiful town. Yeah, I wish you were here with your red hair. I wish you were here with those green eyes. Wish you were here with your red hair. I wish you were here with those green eyes. I walked through 66 deserts, 69 cemeteries, and 30-some-odd swamps just to find you. My boots were weightless, back was filled with heavy 80 briquettes, and ultralights to remind you why I wasn't leaving till you had enough of this clown. You see the croak and the squawks of the long-legged birds seem to sing to the rhythm of my heart as it pounds. Yeah, I wish you were here with your red hair. I wish you were here with those green eyes. Wish you were here with your red hair. I wish you were here with those green eyes. They can see, but can we truly scope how brutal and short our lives is? Well, if it's true that all you love is all you really end up owning, then I'd rather you give me your business. Well, the moon's up again, no one saw her ascend. All that's left of her now's but a sliver. I see your house through the trees, I smell your hair on the breeze. I wash the dirt off me down by the river. Well, one thing I know, you feel like home and I'm bound. You see the thoughts of unbroken hope I tied with thick velvet rope, but it's only to you that I want to be bound. Yeah, I wish you were here with your red hair. I wish you were here with those green eyes. Wish you were here with your red hair. I wish you were here with those green eyes.
Wow, yes, amazing. Let me stand over here. I want to thank Michael's, it used to be Michael's tasting room, now it's Michael of St. Augustine, and they're taking care of the needs of the band tonight. I want to thank Mr. Michael Lugo for supporting us. So let's give him a hand. So your greatest fan is sitting right over there. I think his name is Andrew. I think
Yeah.
He belongs to you. Yes,
He does. He's not a stray.
So your music, does it have a genre?
No, I've been called many things, many different genres. There's not one box.
Wow, and this guitar is really cool. Show them the hole on this guitar. It's only two musicians use this. Her and Dewey Vey, who was here, for those who were at that show, he was great. And he also owns one of these guitars. Now, where can we find your music?
Well, you can find me all around town.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can do that. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube.
And your next gig is when and where?
My next gig is tomorrow at Ann O'Malley's. And then Thursday at Trade Winds, Friday at Trade Winds, Augie's Draft Room, Scarlett O'Hare, Sangrias.
Wow. So you're one of those very successful St. Augustine musicians that have lots of venues. Now, if we wanted to buy your music, is there a place?
Well, I haven't come to the digital age yet, so you'd have to come to a gig and grab a CD.
Okay.
Or you find me on social media and say, hey, I liked your music, can you send me a CD? And I'll send you one in snail mail.
That's great. And did you gravitate to the guitar when you were young?
No, actually, my mother was in opera for 45 years, and so she made me learn piano.
And you punished her. I take the guitar now.
No, I took the saxophone.
Oh, really? Wow.
I did. No, but you know, a blessing and a curse. I didn't want the piano, but she made me learn the piano, and graciously, I learned to read music.
Wow.
And from there, I branched out, and there's not an instrument that I haven't picked up that I can't figure out.
Wow, that's amazing. We're honored that you're on the show, and we will hear you one more time at the end of our show.
Yes,
and love it. I love it. So we'll be right back with our stand-up comic. And once again, a hand to Heather Craig.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number one is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number two would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number three is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number. Y hablamos español.
We have our stand-up comic. I know so many people like this, that we bring comics to the show. I hear so many wonderful. Well, I've known Lauren for a while. I've seen her. When we were looking for comics, we turned her house into a nightclub and did a soiree, and we brought all these comics. So most of the comics you've seen here to the show, all of them have come from that soiree where she brought all her buddy comics, and it was a very successful night. And tonight I want to bring you Lauren Bressette. And let me do the test of the microphone. A joke test. This is a joke test. What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. All right, baby, it's all yours. Lauren Bressette.
Thank you. All right, St. Augustine Tonight Show. How we doing? I just got my hair cut recently. Pretty happy with it. I feel like I'm somebody that should be saying things like, Jackie, never forget to always wear your gold with your black. You'll never go wrong. That's a direct quote from my Aunt Peggy to my mom. My mom is Jackie. I sent my grandmother a photo, and she told me that I looked like a zingara. And zingara is Italian for lady of the night. But that's not the worst thing that my grandparents have called me. The worst thing was my poppy called me a hippie because I told him I was gluten-free. He goes, what do you mean? What do you mean you can't eat macaroni? You've been eating macaroni your whole life. You can't eat macaroni, now you don't like macaroni? What are you? You're a hippie, you're not Italian, you voted for Barack Obama, and you're a hippie. My grandmother, she's so sweet, she tried to make it better. And she cut up a giant beefsteak tomato and she put it in a bowl of Italian salad dressing. And you bet your ass I ate that whole thing. Every last bit. Because, if I don't, it's just one phone call. You know what I mean? Not saying anything. What I'm alluding to is the mob. Speaking of the mob, has anybody seen The Irishman? Yeah, that's right. We're in a movie theater. You should have seen it. Didn't play here. Played on Netflix. But I watched it. It reminded me a lot of my family. Just all of the family and the don't be late and don't wear shorts and it just reminded me a lot. So I called my grandmother and I said, Nani, did you watch The Irishman? And she said, I did, but I didn't like it. And I said, how come you didn't like it? And she said, there was too much cursing. And I said, Nani, don't you think that that's how mobsters would speak to each other? Don't you think that's realistic? And she goes, oh no, they're much more respectful. They're businessmen. Okay. My grandparents are a lot of fun. My grandparents, if you haven't guessed it, they're two stereotypical New York Italians, which means that they're always threatening to divorce each other and cook. That's what they do. I went over to my grandparents for Christmas this year. We had Christmas at my grandparents. And walking into their house is like, it's your blood pressure just rockets immediately. I walk in, they have this little dog, a little Yorkie. My grandmother goes, did you say hello to the dog? Did you say hi to the dog? Look at the dog. Look at that dog. That dog wants to say hi to you. Have you said hello to the dog? Look at that dog. Do you see that dog? That dog is trying to say hello to you. Look at the dog. Say hi to the dog. Hello, dog. Her dog's name is Bacall. I'm Lauren. Hello, Bacall. This year, our Christmas had a theme, and that theme was weapons. Thank you, Fox News, for instilling fear into my grandparents. Live in a gated community. Yeah, my grandmother, she bought herself a gun. She got me a taser. Dead serious, this happened. Yeah, the scariest thing in my grandparents' neighborhood is like the HOA. Or maybe Marcia. Marcia's a lady that walks around with a cup of ice all day, going house to house, looking for booze. It's Marcia. My grandparents, they're a lot of fun. Right after college, I found myself, I ended up living with them for a little while, and that was a fun time. I was anxious a lot while I was living there. I was, living with my grandparents, was unemployed, fresh out of college, and I would smoke cigarettes a lot. And my grandmother, she didn't really like that I smoked cigarettes. And she would tell me to stop smoking. And I would say, Nani. That's her. She knows. She knows. That's the ghost of Aunt Peggy. I would say, Nani, don't worry. They're American spirits. They are USDA organic. It is the kale of all cigarettes. It's basically like eating a vegetable. Just pop another Xanny. We're all gonna get through this together. She likes to clean a lot. She's always cleaning. And she likes to listen to music while she cleans, specifically Barbra Streisand from the past 100 years. And one time she looked at me and she said, I kind of think your Nani looks like Barbra Streisand. Do you think your Nani looks like Barbra Streisand? And I said, Nani, you look like Barbra Streisand if Barbra Streisand was a raisin. She knows that joke. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My family's a hoot. They're crazy. My mom is she's kind of this very, very religious lady. I grew up in a very religious household, and she used to always tell me that the devil was a wolf wearing sheep's clothing. And I didn't know what she was talking about until my coworker started selling me Herbalife. Yeah, that girl's a snake. Yeah. All that happened there was I lost 20 pounds, and I can't say the other part of this joke because I'm supposed to be clean. I know that getting in shape can be kind of hard. I know it can be kind of difficult sometimes. We all kind of do our different things to get there. I recently lost about 30 pounds, which I'm pretty proud of. Yeah, thanks. It was it's mostly cigarettes and Adderall, but still counts. Still did it. I was watching a paleo documentary, and I feel like paleo wouldn't really be too difficult, you know? It's just eating the fruits and grains and vegetables that the earth gives us, you know? You just have to have your own farm, slaughter your own animals, become a little Russian lady, and you're paleo. It's that easy. I feel like people who are super, super healthy are really narcissists because they believe that they deserve to be on the planet longer than the rest of us. You know? Newsflash, Rachel, nobody likes you. It is, what does this say? What's my time? Oh, I have a minute. Okay, all right, cool. My family is a lot of fun. My mom, she's a funny lady. There was one time I got into a car accident. I called her and I said, I got in a car accident today. What do I do? And she goes, Lauren, I know that you don't like it when I tell you this, but the Holy Spirit gave me a word. And that word was fender bender. And having my mother tell me that God told her that I was going to get into a car accident almost made it worth it. Almost. I actually told her that I tell that joke. I respect my mom a lot. My mom she's a great person in my life. And I want her to know the things that I'm saying about her on stage. It's important to me. And she said, Lauren, I don't care if you put me in your jokes, but you leave the Holy Spirit out of this. There was one time when I was in high school, we went to go see The Dark Knight Rises. I went to go see that with my mom, because that's what I was doing in high school, watching Batman with my mom. And I asked her how she liked the movie, and she said, I didn't really like the movie. And I said, what was it about the movie that you didn't like? And she said, well, I didn't really like Bane. I didn't like his voice. And I said, well, what was it about Bane's voice that you didn't like? And she said, I kind of think he sounded like a demon. And I said, Mom, when have you ever heard a demon? And she looked at me so serious. She looked me in my eyes, in my eyes, and she said, Lauren, I've heard them on Ghost Hunters. Alrighty, guys, I'll leave you guys with one last joke. I actually work here at the Corazon. Yeah. Let's give a big shout out to Carla. For letting us use this space, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I work every Tuesday doing this. It's great. I'm really happy that you guys come out to this. Sometimes I work late at night and I live downtown, and I have to walk home and I get a little bit scared, and I try to think of something physical that I can do to deter an attacker. But the only physical thing that I know how to do, is yoga. So I try to think of my best yoga move that I can do, which would be the warrior pose. And you get down like this, and there's one of two things that you can do with your hands. You can go like that, and that means mind and body coming together. Or you can go like this. And that means I am not afraid. So I've decided that if an attacker is coming towards me, I will just go, I am not afraid. Thank you, guys. My name's Lauren Bressette. You've been a lot of fun. Thank you.
When's your next gig?
It's March 12th. It's actually here at the Corazon. I'm going to be in the Flagler College Comedy Com Week show with my friend Courtney Olson. She's a host over at the Paper Route Comedy Show. Two girls. It's pretty cool. We're excited. Yeah.
All right. So now you know where to find her. Thank you. You were great. Go ahead.
Thank you.
We'll be back right after these messages. Yeah. Okay. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a 3-minute segment on what I call a slider. And slider are things that are happening in the community or people who are supporting us. And we have Shelby Dixon, and she'll tell us what what's her project. And we also have Joseph Dold. I keep calling him Gold, but it's Dold. And he's with Bakersville Bread Company. They're the ones who bring us those wonderful, wonderful rolls out there. And we'll talk a little bit to him. But going back to you, you're with Green Hands. What is Green Hands?
Green Hands is actually an internal initiative at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. It was created in 2014 because, as I'm sure everyone realizes, a lot of waste is created from live music events.
Yeah.
And so Green Hands concentrates on searching through everything that we do at the St. Augustine Amphitheater every week, and for shows, for markets, for everything else, and ensuring that we're doing it as green as possible. So eliminating waste, eliminating pollution, looking at things as small as what kind of paper we're purchasing and what kind of t-shirts.
Paper straws, things like that.
Exactly.
Now, is there a film project also involved here?
Yeah, so we're really excited to partner with the St. Augustine Film Society, the Golden Way Films That Make a Difference.
Joseph
and-
Marks, he's out there somewhere.
And Beaches Go Green. We're going to be hosting a 4-part film series this year. All of them are going to be different environmental films that are going to touch on different topics that are really important in St. Augustine. Our first one's actually coming up on April 7th.
All right. So they start on April 7th and they go till?
We're going to have one in June, one in August, and one in October.
Wow, wow. And if people want more information on that, where do they go?
Everything's loaded on the amphitheater's website, which is just theamp.com.
Yes, they changed their names to amp.com, as you know.
Keeping it easy.
Yes, keeping it easy. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to that. You know, support these small films and these projects. They're local, they're our people, and the message is universal. What St. Augustine is going now with water rise and a lot of other problems we're having, they're universal problems that we're having. And then we have, pass the mic to Joseph. Joseph, you are the baker. You are the man behind the flour that makes all this wonderful bread. How long has your bakery been there?
It's getting now 3 years.
3 years. And you're right on the corner of West King and, what's that street right there?
One is Policia, and the other one is Palmer.
Right, right. And you're, the paper route is near Theo, who gave us this, is on that avenue. There's a lot of businesses. Moments is there. The vegetarian restaurant. So now your breads, what is wonderful, they're all European style.
Yes, they are. Yeah. I am from Europe, so I'm used to European style.
And so Wonder Bread is not your thing, I understand. It makes,
I wonder about it.
Yeah, I wonder about it too. Yes. That's a European joke about our bread, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, my brother used to say, as long as it's in a plastic bag, it makes a wonderful pillow. And so now, what kind of breads do you make there?
We make actually a lot of custom bread, but also in the bakery we have German bread and Italian bread. We have French bread. We have all Jewish bread. We have all kind of bread. So we
right.
The way we do this, we keep like 4 all the time there because they're very popular. And then we have the other ones I fill in. Like every week I make different kind of bread,
yes.
different kind of countries.
Yes, I go to your bakery and I eat your samples.
Yeah. Good.
He has all these samples. I mean, breads with garlic, what they call a sunflower bread, Sonnenblumenbrot. I lived in Germany for a while. And, you know, how many people eat bread here? I guess most of you eat bread. So why aren't you buying your bread at a local bakery to support our local businesses? I mean, come on, it makes sense, especially when the product is so. I mean, how many of you eat bread and can say, I know the baker? Really, I mean, few of you, right? Unless someone you know works as a baker in one of these big supermarkets. And, you know, they got their livelihood is taken care of. So it's supporting the local bakers. You also make wonderful pastries, all kinds of danishes and things to eat. I just love your shop. It's right next to Sweet City Cupcakes. They share kind of the same. If you walk through City Cupcakes, you walk through, you end up in his bakery. And they supply our wonderful cupcakes as dessert for our dinners that we have. So I thank you both for being here. And support local, man. We're family. And we'll be right back with our next guest, Jessica Carlo. All right. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. I have here a special guest for a short interview, but I want you to get to know her. Her name is Jessica Carlo. And Jessica, I see her everywhere with cameras and doing interviews. She works basically for Hispanic, Spanish content, so they get to know what's going on. And you're originally from where, Jessica?
De Bayamón, Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow. Boricua. Yes.
That's right. It's a pleasure to be here today.
All right. And how long have you been now in Florida?
I've been in Florida for 15 years now.
Okay.
I lived in Broward County for 5. Then I moved to Jacksonville 10 years ago.
Right.
When it was underdeveloped.
Yes.
Now it's freaking me out.
Yes, it is moving. It's like the progress that you saw in Orlando in the late 70s is kind of that sort of energy that you're starting to see. And St. Johns County is just growing off the scene.
Right.
Kind of scary at times. Now, you know what I thought very interesting in our conversation was you had a really good life, and then your daughter is born, and your daughter needs special needs. It's hearing. And that changes your whole life.
It does. It does. I've always had a great life. I have 3 children. My last child was born with special needs.
Right.
And she goes to the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind.
Hey.
Excellent school, excellent curriculum. I am blessed that I have been able to find it.
Yes.
But how do I know about FSDB? That was when I was living in Broward County. So apparently the deaf community in Miami is a big community. And so I started looking for information regarding deafness. This is the first time that had ever happened to me. So of course, like everything, you go do your research, right?
Right.
And so I was blessed to find organizations, nonprofit organizations that help hearing parents communicate with their deaf children.
Right.
And that's how my, the whole thing started.
Yes, that's what turned the ship around.
That's right.
The mother instinct of.
Yes, I mean, I'm an Army brat. So before my native language is Spanish, I learned English by being an Army brat. I was in North Bragg. I was in Fort Benning, Georgia. I was in Fort Allen. So I did a little bit of traveling before having my children. And so that's how I learned my English. But having to learn sign language was a challenge.
Yes.
So,
but you told me a beautiful story of this, a guy who stocked shelves before you knew sign language.
Yes.
And you had met him, and you kind of do the motions, how you're doing in this, and then years went by, and then you saw him again, and he turned around, and he went like to do his usual hello, and you started talking to him.
That's right.
And he emotionally reacted to,
I believe God has a weird way of letting you know in advance, giving you signs, and you choose to ignore them or you choose to acknowledge them, right?
Right.
And so in my case, this is the first deaf person that I have ever met.
Right.
And it was colmado, or a tiny supermarket.
We call them
bodega,
colmado.
whatever.
Right.
And I remember I was used to going there for, bread, milk, common things. And he was always so polite, and he was always trying to sign. And I would just, be so happy because his facial expressions were so, his energy. And I remember telling myself, wow, I would love to learn that language.
Bingo.
And there you go. 15 years later, I'm a mother of my 3rd child, and now I'm seeing myself learning sign language. Of course, I had to leave my native land to come to this country for better opportunities. And that's where I got, the base of this is how I'm going to work with it. I am going to take it straight on, and this is not going to be a challenge.
And it's so interesting because you're in this whole media thing now, and you said when you were young you tried it and you realized it was like, and there were certain things that you needed to do which you weren't willing to do. So now I think, and now all these years later, you start with these short little interviews on Facebook to
That's
promote
right.
the Hispanic community in Jacksonville.
Wow, that's a throwback.
And you start these 8-10 minute interviews, and then suddenly you run into Marcano. Tell us who Marcano is.
That's right. Well, I'm the host for the Marky Marcano Show. I'm also helping to produce. Yes, definitely. This is a podcast. It's been going on for 7 years, and now, just 6 months ago, we started this transition to digital TV.
Oh, wow.
So right now, we're both live streaming on iHeartMedia,
Right.
and we're live streaming on Facebook and YouTube
Right.
every Monday night at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And it's a show about comedy, entertainment, happenings. I mean, me specifically, I have a 2-minute segment where I talk about local things in Jacksonville.
Right.
So I highlight things like your show. I highlight things like events or youth talent. I work with the youth in Jacksonville. I actually have a project right now with the Flying Ostrich Media, which is a UNF based students, you know?
Yeah.
And they have been taking over this town, and I want to be part of it.
Okay. And so the goal of your show, it's in Spanish, of course. The goal of the show is what then? To show us what's out there we don't know it's out there?
Exactly. Well, we specialize in media marketing for small businesses.
Okay.
So we help local businesses, you know. We don't go as far as the branding. We just go as far of the reaching out to, you know, local communities, other small businesses,
Right.
and obviously American businesses that want to do business with the Hispanic community. So I'm trying to connect all the time, you know, make all those connections like I've made connections with you.
Right. And I know you're a friend of Scott Grant, who probably is in
that's
here
right.
somewhere. And
that's him right there.
he cheers loud, yeah. And so so you bring to your show what? Singers, comedians, actors?
So we talk about a little bit of everything. We talk about topics. We have comedy. We have interviews with local artists in the Hispanic community, people that are new talents that want to get to know themselves. I mean, I've had a lot of people in the military that have just decided that, you know, that is their time. They want to go back to the civilian years. And they have this thing pending in their heart, whether it is being a singer, a reporter, or in any way, arts and cultural. That's what I'm really focusing in. And we've had a lot of Puerto Ricans stationed in Mayport, in Jacksonville, and now they're retired and they're looking to spend their civilian years.
There's a ton of us in the military.
That's right. And they just want to be doing their thing. And
we had, I think with last week we had our fire chief who is Puerto Rican, and he was a combat veteran. So you know, I thank you so much for coming to the show. And if we want to see your show, where do we go? On the internet?
You can go on Facebook, the Marky Marcano Radio Show.
Marky Marcano.
That's right. You can find us on YouTube. We just started. It's been our 2nd week on YouTube Live.
Oh, wow.
I didn't think that platform would work, but it's working.
Good.
We basically try to work with platforms you're familiar with because our business, like I said, it's media marketing with small businesses. So if you're working with LinkedIn, if you're working with Instagram, we enhance that. So we handle your media needs so you don't have to.
All right.
So your business is my business.
Well, thank you again, and
thank you for having me.
Let's give you a hand.
It's an honor.
Let's give a hand to our Hispanic brothers and sisters. Do you want to take a credit?
Hey, I've been looking forward to this one.
Okay.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
All right. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with Christina Parrish Stone. And you've been in the area for a long time, but you're new to St. Augustine in the position you have as the Executive Director of the St. John's Cultural Council. Well, that's a mouthful. Yeah. And so I want to give you a hand. We're very happy to have you.
So it took me 30 years in North Florida to find out that St. Johns County was the best part of North Florida and where I should be living.
All right.
After 3 months in St. Johns County, I'm pleased to say that it really is the treasure of this part of the state.
Yeah, we've had conversations, and I love your mind. I love what you are planning and what you've already started, you know, with the Lincoln. You were involved with the Lincolnville Porch Fest here, which you were involved with the one in Jacksonville, too, their Porch Fest. So you're originally from where?
I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but grew up in New Jersey, outside of Manhattan.
New Jersey, she didn't get the nasal.
I went to elementary school there, but came back south, so obviously my accent has nothing to do with my time in New Jersey. And was in Savannah before I came to Jacksonville.
Right. I mean, Atlanta itself has become such a city. I remember Atlanta in the 70s selling little Johnny Rebel hats, and I was like, I thought we won the war. What's going on here? And now it's considered the Hollywood of the East, and there's so much music and so much, it's such a cosmopolitan. Shows are filmed there. It's amazing what happens in such a short span of time. But did you stay in Atlanta? Did you leave Atlanta? What did you study when you were in school?
So I was in Atlanta as a child. I went to college and studied business and worked in banking for a while when I first came to Jacksonville, left and went to law school. So I'm a recovering attorney. And it's actually very helpful in my job now. So I think we have an audience tonight that really appreciates arts and culture. And I'm happy to say I recognize a lot of the folks here who are involved in arts organizations. But I spend a lot of my time talking to people who perhaps don't appreciate arts and culture and the inherent value in arts and culture.
Right.
For example, I started my day today at the Nocatee Rotary Club.
Okay.
And they really relate to the business side of the arts.
And that's a struggle,
so
yes.
With my background in business, it helps me talk to them about things like the fact that our tourists in St. Johns County pay 100% of the cost of tourist development. And they pay for much of the cost of putting on some of the big events that we do here that both the tourists and our residents enjoy. So the Cultural Council has a couple of different roles, but one of the primary roles is managing the grant-making process for the county.
Yes.
And we're able to give about $600,000 a year to local organizations to produce events that range from things like the St. Augustine Film Festival that was here just a few weeks ago, to the Celtic Festival that's coming up.
Yes,
we'll be supporting the wonderful St. Augustine Music Festival this summer.
Right.
And another event coming up at the Corazon in a few weeks, Our Time, a celebration of women, another film festival. And all of those grants are funded through our bed taxes. So the people who live here don't have to pay for those.
Right. And it's very interesting you say you have this job, but you weren't looking for a job.
No, I wasn't. My husband, who's here in the audience tonight, and I have a 15-year-old son. and some older children too. And my plan really was to retire in about 3 years when he graduated. And a headhunter called me and told me about this job. And I knew what a wonderful place this was for arts, culture, and heritage, and really couldn't think of a better place to finish my career. So I'm here, and I'm committed to be here for longer than 3 years.
Wow, wow. Now, you've also been involved in things like public art. Do you think we're ready for that kind of thing? I mean, we have these spaces here that are not. I remember I talked to you about Christus, who covered the Reichstag in Germany. I was there for that, and it was amazing. And what are your thoughts on that?
So I absolutely think we're ready for it. I think it's past time that St. Johns County had a public art program. Public art programs are quite common throughout the state of Florida. We're one of the richest counties in the state and one of the few that does not have a public art program that's funded by our county.
Well, don't get me started.
We do, and I'm talking to county commissioners about that now, and I'm getting a good reception. They're all very fiscally conservative.
Yes.
So they want to see that there will be some economic benefits from having those kinds of programs. But I think we can show them that there are.
Right, right.
It's pretty typical. I was told when I came here not to talk about how they do it in Jacksonville because people don't like to hear that here, and I understand why. As I said, I've already seen St. Johns County has a lot of advantages.
Yeah, it's like when your mother used to say, "Why don't you comb your hair like Johnny?" And you say, "Well, why don't you go bring Johnny to live here?"
Right. But Jacksonville does have a public art program where anytime a public building is constructed in the county, a percentage of the cost of that building goes into a fund to create public art that's also installed in public places like public parks, libraries, other public right-of-ways, and it really does enrich the pedestrian experience there. So that's the type of thing that we could look into doing. Meanwhile, the Cultural Council does have a small public art program. Our assistant director, who's here tonight, Kathy O'Donnelly, she's been doing a great job over the past few years on our very limited public art budget, organizing exhibitions at the Public Administration Building. I'm hoping that tonight's artist will do a show for us there. I think that would be really
Razvan, they're talking to you.
I actually spoke to him during the break, and I think his photographs would be fantastic.
They are.
But we need to go beyond that.
Yes.
That's only open during the work days, Monday through Friday, so a lot of people don't have access to that.
Right. And that Danny Berenberg, Rod Morris, there's a lot of people out there, Anna Miller, Suzanne Chumka. There's a group of people who are trying to bring that art in public places, but then you have the problem that the time is limited and people have to work, it's not that easy. But it's very interesting that you were talking, when we were talking once, says how close you got to working with that art school in Savannah, Georgia, which was, what's the name of that school? It's the Art Institute or the Art?
The Savannah College of Art and Design.
Art and Design, yes. It's by that beautiful park there. And how close did you get to, I mean, that would have changed your life, wouldn't it?
Probably not in a good way. So I worked for a long time without working directly in the arts.
Right.
While I was an attorney, I worked for a lot of, I served on boards and I got involved.
Right.
But my career was in real estate development, government finance, so limited with the arts.
Right.
I was very young when I graduated from college and I moved to Savannah. I worked before I took my job with the bank, I was a business major. I made a terrible mistake, and because information systems graduates made the most money, that was my major. I did an internship at an electric utility, and I absolutely hated it. So I graduated with this degree, not sure what I wanted to do.
Right.
I was interviewing, and the founders of Savannah College of Art and Design had just bought their first building in Savannah.
Wow.
And I was 19. I was terrified of public speaking, terrified of talking to people.
You're doing good today.
They were so desperate that they offered me a job as their first development director.
Wow.
And I was smart enough to realize that I would have been absolutely terrible. And probably instead of it changing my life in a good way, if I had taken that job, Savannah College of Art and Design probably would have failed. And instead of it transforming Savannah the way that it has,
yes, it has.
They would have had that one building and could never have restored it.
Well, But that is a beautiful city, you know. I call it a museum where people live in it. I like the energy here much more than Savannah. I think Georgia in general is a very conservative state, and I think here in St. Augustine we're more a little bit of everything, you know, with that gumbo. And so now, what do you see in the future for us? I mean.
Well, I like the comparison with Savannah. So another part of what we do at the Cultural Council is we manage the destination marketing as it relates to arts, culture, and heritage.
Right.
And cities like Savannah and Charleston have done a really great job telling the story about what they have to share and what they have to offer tourists. And we have a long history of marketing this community in a good way, but I think nationally and internationally we're not quite as well known as those places. They've done a really good job telling their stories, and I think we're on the right path, but I think we can move further in that direction because we have just as much to offer and more history than either one of those do.
Yes.
So I would like to say that our future is really bright, that there's still a lot of people who don't know about St. Augustine and St. Johns County, so we need to keep telling the story through shows like this and all the work that people in this audience are doing, and we'll become better known soon.
Yes, you have to be persistent, I believe. You just got to keep, you know, my father used to say that. You see, we used to walk by the sea because I live by the ocean. He said, you see that stone with that hole in it? That drop's been hitting that. Look how perfect that hole is, how polished it is. But that took hundreds of years. You got to, meaning you have to be persistent. You got to keep at it. In yours, we're running out of time, but one of the cutest stories you're telling is when you lived in Savannah. We were talking about that movie of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which is a classic, and it was a book, of course, nonfiction. And so, and you said that your family knew Emma Kelly, who was they called her the woman of 6,000 songs, who actually is in that movie, playing a scene or something.
Yeah, so I babysat for her grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
When I lived in Statesboro, and some of her children were my age. She was quite a character. So Statesboro, Georgia was the kind of small town where if your parents were divorced in the 80s, it was scandalous. And she was a single lady who would drive from Statesboro to Savannah to play the piano in a bar that she owned on River Street.
Oh, wow.
And she was sort of infamous, and she did appear in that movie as herself. She actually had the gentleman who was the antique dealer who was accused of murder was someone who knew her. But the really fun part of that story is when my father, who was one of those divorced, scandalous people in Statesboro, when he remarried, she played the piano at his wedding reception.
Oh, wow.
And so that was one of the really coolest things that I experienced in that little town.
She had 10 kids. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean...
and her kids ranged from a woman who was a professional ballet dancer to a football player at Georgia Tech, and everything in between.
Wow.
So it was a very talented family with a variety of talents.
All right.
I don't think there are any piano players.
Now you said your son now is going to go here to our high school, your youngest?
We're debating that. He's 15. He's at Bishop Kenny in Jacksonville, and we're working very hard to convince him to move here. He has a good friend at St. Augustine High. If any of you know a really attractive young lady that I could introduce him to, I think that could be the secret to getting him to make the move. Otherwise, he and my husband will be commuting, reverse commuting. We have purchased a house near downtown.
Yeah, you're in North City.
Yes.
Congratulations. I think the line in Casablanca at the end was, I think this is the beginning of a wonderful friendship, and I think this is your beginning with a wonderful friendship with St. Augustine and the arts, and I thank you so much that you did answer those phone calls and that you came to be our executive director.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Let's give her a hand. So when you see this face, you know who it is. We'll be back with Heather Craig. She wants to take a picture. Now, one last time, Heather Craig.
day. Cool wind in my hair, warm smell of cathedrals rising up through the air. Up ahead in the distance, saw a shimmering lake. A hickory and my sides grew dim, man. Had to stop for the night. Then she stood in the doorway under the mission bell. Well, I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven or this could be hell. Well, she lit up the candle and she showed me the way. There were voices down the corridor and thought I heard them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Living it up at the Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here. Her mind is different and twisted. She kept the Mercedes Benz. She got a lot of pretty girls she calls friends. Oh, they dance in the courtyard, the sweet summer swing. Some dance to remember and some dance to forget. So I called up the captain, please bring me my wine. He said, we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. And still those voices keep calling from far away. Wake you up in the middle of the night just to hear them say, welcome to the Hotel California. It's such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Living it up at the Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here. Mirrors on the ceiling, with pink champagne on ice. She said, we're all just prisoners here of our own device. But in their master's chambers, they gathered for the feast. Stabbing with their stealing knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Relax, she said, the nightmare we are programmed to receive. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave.
Heather Craig. Thank you, everybody. That is our show for March the 3rd. We want to thank all our guests, Jessica Carlo, Christina Parrish. We want to thank everyone who was on the show, Bernadette Rivell. I was going to call her Riddell again, see? And we have Razvan Balotescu. And we want to thank you for your love. And Mitch, if you're watching, we miss you. And see you next week, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.